In the ancient empire of Samarkand, long before the world knew clocks, calendars, or structured academies, there lived a young apprentice named Darien, whose dream was to become a master strategist in the king's court, yet whose weakness was a lack of self-discipline that often left him drifting like a leaf on restless winds, unable to stay consistent, focused, or committed to the long and demanding path of mastery. Every morning he promised himself that he would train at sunrise. But whenever the first rays touched the stone streets, Darien would turn over in his bed, convincing himself that he deserved a little more rest. And each evening he vowed to study ancient scrolls from the great thinkers. But instead, he allowed distraction, leisure, and comfort to pull him away from the growth he desired. And although he possessed intelligence sharper than most, and creativity admired by his mentors, his undisciplined habits kept him from rising beyond mediocrity, until one day, the king announced a legendary challenge, a rare opportunity for one apprentice from the kingdom to enter the prestigious circle of scholars, a place where the greatest minds trained future generals, advisors, and leaders, and earning a position there meant transforming one's destiny forever. Darien longed for this chance, but he knew he lacked the discipline needed to endure the rigorous test. And while others trained intensely, he found himself falling into old patterns, avoiding difficulty and seeking ease, until an unexpected encounter changed his life, because at the far edge of the city lived an old hermit named Arvian, a man once known as the Iron Sage, whose strategies had saved the kingdom in 3 wars, and whose teachings formed the backbone of the empire's wisdom, yet who had retired into silence after the passing of his son. And though few dared to approach him, Darien, desperate for change, climbed the steep hill to meet him, hoping for guidance. The hermit listened patiently as Darien confessed his struggles, his failures, and his wish to transform. And after a long silence, Arvian simply said, "Strength does not rise from desire. It rises from discipline, and discipline rises from repeated choices that shape the self." Then he stood, pointed toward a massive stone near the cliff, and told Darien to push it. Confused, Darien placed his hands against the cold surface and pushed with all his strength. But the stone did not move even an inch, and after a minute he was breathless, frustrated, and ready to quit. Yet Arvian nodded and said, "Good, come back tomorrow and push again." And so began a strange daily ritual where, every morning, Darien climbed the hill at sunrise, pushed the stone with all he had, and returned home exhausted. And though the stone never budged, Darien noticed that he began waking earlier with ease. His body grew stronger, his mind steadier, and his ability to stay consistent improved as he committed to the task. Weeks passed, and the stone remained unmoved, yet Darien felt himself changing. He studied more regularly, he trained without excuses, and he stayed focused longer than he ever had, because in trying to move the stone, he had unknowingly built a powerful inner force, discipline. And one day, while pushing with all his might, he realized it wasn't the stone he had been fighting, but his own former weakness. Finally, after months of this silent training, Arvian approached him and asked, "Tell me, what has changed?" Darien, breathing heavily, replied, "I have changed. I rise before sunrise, I train, I study, and I no longer break the promises I make to myself." And Arvian smiled, placing a hand on the young man's shoulder as he revealed the truth. The stone was never meant to move. It exists to move you. And with that lesson etched into his heart, Darien understood that discipline does not begin with grand achievements, but with small, repeated acts that reshape identity. And armed with this new strength, he entered the king's challenge with a mind sharpened by consistency and a spirit hardened by perseverance, outperforming every competitor, not because he was the smartest, but because he was the most disciplined, and his victory earned him a place among the circle of scholars, where he eventually rose to become one of the greatest strategists in Samarkand's history, guiding the kingdom with wisdom, calmness, and unshakable self-control. And generations later, teachers would tell the story of Darien and the immovable stone, reminding young minds that discipline is not built in a day, nor gifted to a chosen few, but forged through daily choices, strengthened by repetition, and perfected through patience. For no mountain is climbed without the first step, and no great destiny is achieved without the daily commitment to growth. So if you seek to build self-discipline effectively, remember Darien's journey. Start small, stay consistent, honor your promises, embrace discomfort as a teacher, and focus not on speed but on direction, because the world does not reward those who simply dream, but those who discipline themselves to act, to persist, and to rise beyond laziness, fear, and doubt. And as you walk your own path, may you grow stronger with every sunrise, wiser with every challenge, and more determined with every step forward, for your destiny expands or contracts based on your discipline. And the life you desire is waiting for the version of you who refuses to quit. Stay committed, stay focused, stay disciplined, and if you enjoyed this story and want more powerful mindset lessons, ancient wisdom tales, and motivational guidance, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next uplifting journey.